Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. My camera looks really washed out. It's not that sunny in here. Hey, Ricardo, how's it going? You got a pretty sweet character. Got the shoulder spikes going and a beard and very medieval shirt. Maybe that's even male. It's hard to tell. I look pretty cool too, to be honest. I look like some sort of prophet with the the white hair and the white beard. I'd take it. All right, let me get this switched over to a proper overlay. How do I always forget the buttons for this? It's something along. There we go. So how's everybody doing? How are you doing, Ricardo? How's everybody's projects out there going? I'm feeling quite tired today. I think I might end up being a more laid-back version of myself on this particular stream. All right, let me know if the overlay is not working. I hope it is, so we can enjoy our little bouncing guys. By the way, I don't know who's there unless you say something. Hey, Aaron Winter, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hoo, as it is said by the kids these days. But as I was saying, I don't know who's watching unless you say something in the comments. Otherwise, I just get this little eyeball and a number next to it, and I'd love to know who is out there and who is doing what. Aaron Winter, you have a crown. Your character has a crown and some sweet braids going. Ooh. I said ooh just because I'm never looking at this screen when a comment comes in. Anyway, Ricardo says he's good. We're trying to make my frog game multiplayer. Oh, cool. With rollback when I have some free time again. Cool. That might actually be a pretty good candidate for rollback, given like that it's sort of a small space, probably like fully match-based play. That'd be cool. I'd love to see that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I've been working on a VR prototype. Finally, I've been wanting to work on like more VR prototypes like the whole year. One of my New Year's resolutions at the end of last year was I'm gonna make a VR prototype every month. I've started one. It's almost March, but yeah, that's been like the thing I wish I could be working on all the time. Otherwise, you know, I've been working on these tutorials and all the cool stuff that people are doing with the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on. And why am I typing GitLab into the? Let's type Firefox. We need Firefox before we can open GitLab. But people have been contributing like some amazing stuff, like bug reports and merge requests. Quite a lot of the merge requests from BimDav. Welcome to the stream, BimDav. I'm trying to understand your character, because that doesn't look like a beard. Is that like a veil? Is your character wearing a veil? I'm not sure I've seen that before. But like, yeah, I already, like, because I am so tired and out of it, have probably forgotten some of the cool things that we've merged, but you know, features, bug fixes, all kind of things. No, not these. Or merged. Anyway, lots of good stuff. Hey, Furroy number 2, how's it going? Hey, yo! Aaron Winter says, work has been tough, so not much time for private projects. Looking forward to playing the new Horizon on weekend. The new Horizon game is already out? Jeez. Do I live under a rock? I think I live under a rock. It's a good rock, though. A solid rock. So it's Horizon Forbidden West. I gotta play that. I still have not. Oh yeah, I still have not finished the first one. It's one of those games where there's so many side quests that like I've played it for tens of hours. I'm not sure how long, but like a really long time, and I am like nowhere in the story. Because I'll be like, oh, to get this armor, I gotta go kill this thing way over there and get the crafting supplies, and I just never get anywhere with it. But it's a great game. I love. Forbidden Dawn, Horizon Forbidden Dawn, or not Forbidden Dawn. What is it called? Zero Dawn? Horizon Zero Dawn, and this one's Forbidden West. But yeah, I have to check that out. I may, but this weekend I had things I was going to do. Can I really get involved in that? Anyway, welcome everyone. So yeah, last week we were working on this same thing. We were trying to get the log inspector for the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, replaying frames that we can debug in the debugger. And for anyone who might be coming for the first time this time, I know none of the people I see on the screen, all these folks I know were here last week. And I'm just going to run through it real quick. Yeah, for sure. 20 to 80 hours. I probably have spent 80 hours and I'm like 20% into the story. But let's just do a real quick test, which will also be good for me because I haven't like run this code since we were, or no, that's not true. So after the stream, maybe it was the same day, maybe it was the day after, I did take what we had done on the last stream and kind of fixed it up. It was kind of an ugly mess. So our challenge last week was that we couldn't get the replay mode of the game connecting to the Godot debugger, and we finally got it working at the very, very end, but the code was a total mess at that point. Whoa, where did the background go? What has occurred here? What is happening? That's not right. That's not what should be happening. Wow, okay. Well, step 0. Let's figure out what the heck is going on here. That might just be like one-off weirdness. We should be able to run the game. Let's try it again. I've literally never seen that happen, so I'm not sure what could be the cause. I hope it's not because I was like recompiling Godot for all of these different like merge requests and stuff that I've been testing. And then I have like a broken Godot, although see what is happening there. Host is configuring the match. What in the heck? And nothing good happens. Wow. And now this one's here, but of course we're disconnected. Oh my gosh, so real streamers, a real streamer would have tested this. Would have tested this before coming on stream. But seriously, so let's see if the last things that I committed were the problem. This is one of the beautiful things about Git. We're going to revert to the version of the game before we started last week's stream. So we'll travel back in time to Thursday, February 10th. And that's going to freak out the editor. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm going to reload the current project to hopefully not freak out, unfreak out, de-freak out the editor. And then hopefully the game will run, and then I can show you what we're doing. Because it's going to be cool. It's going to be really, really cool. I honestly cannot wait to get this working. I cannot wait to use it. Once we have this working, I want to start doing some play tests again. That's really the only reason I haven't been doing play tests of Retro Tank Parties, because the existing bugs, I don't think, the remaining bugs, I should say, I don't think I am capable of debugging them without this tool. All right. Let's get in there. Hey, it's working! So did we break it, or did I do something stupid? I actually, as I was doing that, I thought of an idea of something that I was doing wrong. When I ran Godot before, was I running? Yeah, that's what I did. You guys can't see it, because it's, here, I'll make my terminal come higher. I was running vanilla Godot instead of running our custom compiled Godot, which lives at this other path. So that's totally what happened. All right. Sorry, everyone. Like I said, I'm real tired. I stayed up late making VR stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to close the editor. We're going to recheck out the branch that we're going to be working on and take 2. Let's just pretend the last, I don't know, 4 minutes didn't happen. You guys with me? All right, I have checked out the branch. Let's generate a log. Let's get in there and do this. And I'll show you guys the code that I wrote to clean up what we had last week. Not much, like more of just kind of like the obvious stuff, but just so that we're all on the same page. And then this will start up an instance there. We'll launch another instance up here. Looking for a match. I am ready. I'm always ready. I was born ready to fight tanks. Okay. So we'll just have the one drive over there, shoot the other guy for a second. And then we are going to kill it. And that will have generated some detailed logs that we are going to open up in the log inspector. It would be these 2 most recent logs. And I don't know if there's anything we could do with the debugger. I'm just going to look at this on kind of a basic level. So here's the log inspector. It has all of these metrics from each frame that's run on each client, and it has these like collections of state. Ooh, there was a mismatch. What was the mismatch? At the very, very end? What tick is it? No, tick number 2. Tick number 2 at the very, very beginning. We had a little mismatch. That's interesting. A little hidden bug that I'm not going to get distracted on, because the mismatch only lasted for 1 tick, which means it's non-fatal, right? Like if the state goes back to matching for the whole rest of the match, like the score isn't off, there isn't something persistently being 2 pixels to the right or something like that, it's fine. So anyway, we can launch a replay version of the game, which I'm going to what did I do? What happened? Did anything happen? Oh my god, guys. I am so feeling like off my game right now. Okay, here it is. I need to make like a new rule, like don't stay up all night on Thursday nights making games, because like then my head just isn't in it. Okay, so this is the state view in the log inspector. If I keep clicking ticks forward, you can see in the replay that it's playing back each of these ticks, and it's doing it by loading state. So it's not actually executing the game at all. It's just taking, like, I'm switching to tick number 53, so it's taking the saved state that was written to the logs for tick number 53 and loading it, which is useful. It's useful for finding state mismatches, but there are other trickier bugs to find where it would be we're running the actual like game logic frame by frame with the same inputs, and then being able to follow through that in the debugger would make it possible to find some of these trickier bugs. So this other view, this frame view, what I'm thinking is we'll be able to go to a particular frame. We have this show peer 1. Why can't we change this? This might not have been implemented. We might have to implement that. But the idea is we'll be able to pick a particular peer that we're following, launch the replay client, have it play the entire match through to whatever frame we're on, and then allow us to say next frame, next frame, next frame, and load in the data for that peer so that we can step through it in the debugger and see what the heck is going on. Debugging heaven. Furroy says, relax, lots of my time developing is spent asking, how in the world? Yeah, me too. We're all developers to some degree here, right? I mean, I know some people are more on design or art or whatever, but like we all know that 90% of any problem is figuring out what the problem is. And then the other 10%, did I say 90%? My math may have just added to greater than 100%, but 90% is figuring out what the problem is, and 10% is actually solving the problem. So let's see what's going on with this show to see if that's actually implemented, because we need it to be implemented. With state, it's less of an issue because the state should match between the different peers, and when it doesn't, it's mismatch. So I guess we do need to switch it for that too, because we can say like, well, how's it look on peer 1? How's it look on peer 2? But I don't know why it's grayed out. It's either grayed out because there's a UI bug, or it's grayed out because we never implemented it. So let's find the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, the log inspector. Log inspector scene will start at the top. And what have we got here? So this peer 1 field, where is the code running that? It looks like that is part of the main log inspector scene. So show peer field. Let's just see where that's going. Show peer field. So we add the list of peers to it. Hey, Gulliver Jaham! Snowpack, I found a theoretical bug in GGPO. If the code despawns an entity during a rollback and respawns it while your own input spawned another, that desyncs the entity list and can cause a slight difference in physics. That can be enough to desync everything. So GGPO meaning the real GGPO? Like, because I've read the code many times for GGPO, but I don't actually use that. I use my Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, so I don't know if you're referring to that or the real GGPO, or just the whole technique in general. But let me try and understand what you're saying here. So if the code despawns an entity during a rollback and respawns it while your own input spawned another before, that desyncs the entire entity list. So there is, in the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, a attempt to prevent this problem, which is that we, whenever we're spawning the same scene, we're incrementing an integer to append to the name of the actual node in the scene. And when we roll back and despawn entities, we actually roll back that counter as well. So it should always be the case that, assuming your logic is deterministic, even if when you roll forward the new entities have different IDs, they will be the same different IDs that another peer would have gotten in the same situation, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter, like, if we roll back, like, let's say we spawned up to bullet 27, we roll back, despawning, 27, 26, 25, and then now there's some new input that spawns, a new 25, and then the other ones become, 26, 27, 28. That's fine, so long as the exact same numbers will end up being used on the other peers as well. Like, the new frames, when they play back forward again, when they resimulate, will simulate differently. But the differently now is the correct version. The way they played out before the rollback was wrong. It was based on predicted input. And so long as all the peers will end up naming them the same way, and creating them in the same order, which they should, because we do everything in scene tree order, and scene tree order is based on names, and we're making sure the names are all consistent, right? Do you see how the logic flows that way? Anyway. Definitely, like, this kind of stuff, you have to worry about that sort of thing like crazy in rollback, and I think all of the major situations like that are handled in the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on. There, I'm sure, are edge cases or like little bugs, but I don't think there's a whole class of problem that we're missing. At least I hope not. And if we are, one of you is going to find it. Maybe BimDav, who seems to find so many bugs. Ooh, there we go. BimDav was stuck. Now I've unstuck you. Oh, and Gulliver, you got a pretty cool character. You got the Jester clothes, but then the Centurion helmet. I dig it. Okay, what was I doing? The peer field, the show peer field. We need to figure out, does it work or does it not work? So we're filling it up. It gets disabled when replay server status is none. Is that right, though? we want, like, there's no harm in changing it before the replay server starts. And there's no harm in changing it after. We'll just act differently whether the replay server is started or not. If the replay server is started, changing it will send a command. If not, we'll just hang on to which peer we want to show and then use it later. So I don't think I think this disabling code is just wrong. I'm just going to remove this. We should be able to change it at any time. It's just determining, like, if we change it to peer 2 and then launch, like when it launches, it'll say, okay, you're peer 2. Or if we're launched and then we switch it to peer 2, then it'll send a command immediately. So that should be good. Okay, and now the big question is, does it do anything? Let's test that the easy way. Let's actually launch the scene and try it and see if anything seems to happen. Or will we notice? Will we be able to tell? Probably not. Bimdab says, it's really fun and sometimes exhausting thinking about code that way. I wonder if we could someday enforce static checks, making sure that the code is rollback proof in a language like Rust, for example. That is very interesting. So what is the challenge in writing rollback? It's side effects, I think. How does Rust handle side effects? So I've been, like, I've done Project Euler problems in Rust. And followed a tutorial, and, like, I've poked around in Rust, but I've never done any serious, like, programming work. Thinking of languages that I know are very strict about side effects, like Haskell is super strict about side effects, and has this whole, like, monad system to make sure that they're all contained. I wonder if something like Haskell would be a good language for it, because you cannot have, like, any dangling state. A state would always need to be accounted for. That's interesting. That would be really cool. Okay, so I have peer 2. Why can't I launch the client? Oh, because this is disabled, because it's running in the editor. All right, hang on. I switched between running it in the editor and not. So we need to stop this, clear this. Stop. Why can't you stop? Invalid call. Non-existent function get status on base nil. You know what I think happened is I changed some code which caused Godot to live reload the code, which in the editor, when you're working on tool scripts, causes zaniness to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to just reload the current project. Loading. Running debug builds is so slow. Okay. And I'm going to switch to, for the most part, running the scene rather than running it in the editor, because fewer weird things happen. But when we get to the point that we actually want to test that the debugger is doing what we need it to do to get the full circle, the holy grail here, we will go back to running it in the editor. So long inspector, run the scene. And yeah, there's no way to know. There's no way to know if this is making a change. So I saw it correctly loaded the 2 peers. We can switch that. I think we need to look at its what signals are what things are connected to. Oh, it does work. We can tell. Okay. So tick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me put this down here. Is it this one? Yes. So let's go back to an early tick. Let's say like 50. So we are following around. Maybe 50 was too far back. Let's go to 150. Okay, here we go. So we are following peer number 2. And if I switch this to peer number 1, we actually jump up to peer number 1. Okay, so this works in a rudimentary way. Cool. So what we need to do is start implementing the frame-based replay, taking into account this same peer thing. And there's going to be, I guess, 2 parts to that. There is the part that's part of the log inspector, which I think we're going to need a little bit of extra UI. We're going to need something over here where we'll say like replay through current frame, and then we'll need a button that says like replay next frame, which I would love to have that be integrated with these controls here, but I'm not sure how to make that make sense. So like these previous frame and next frame will go to the next frame on any peer, just whatever is next chronologically in time. And I don't want that behavior to suddenly change. Or maybe we have a checkbox over here that says only current peer, only replay peer. I don't know. UI is hard. So, and yeah, like I see a couple of ways this could work. Let me get something I can draw on. Sketchpad. Ooh, from our physics. Last time we did physics on stream. Oh, no, I want with the white. Give me the white background. Easier to draw on that. Okay. So we could have like a checkbox that is like what would be words for that? It would be like okay, well for okay, so we need a button. A button that's going to say something like replay. Ooh, that's huge. Replay through or replay to frame, something like that. How do I say this short too? So replay to frame. So we'll be on a frame. Like we're on frame, whatever this is. I have no idea. The numbers on here are tick numbers. I don't know what the frame number is. Do we have the frame numbers down here? No. Anyway, they do have numbers. The frames are numbered. So let's say this is frame 20. I have no idea. We would hit this button that says replay to frame, and then a checkbox that would be like auto or something like that. And we would enable this to say every time we changed the frame, it would replay to it, right? But how do we integrate that with these buttons? Because we want to be able to say next frame, next frame, next frame. But we want it to only be next frame on this given peer, whereas these normally go to the next frame on any peer. See if anyone has any suggestions. Nope. But hi, Quaker O, or Quake or hi, Quake or welcome to the stream. Or do we just let this do? No, that's like totally crazy. I was gonna say, what if we just let this keep doing what it's doing, but in replay mode, we might not be going to the next frame on the current peer? We need some other kind of checkbox. I think that's what we got to do. Otherwise, like having a second previous and next frame seems wrong. So okay, so this UI we know we want. We want replay to frame or replay to current. Something like that. And then you want some other checkbox, which is like how to make the words for this. So the words we want the words to say something like like only to like only go forward, backward on the current peer. So it'd be like stick to peer, only replay peer. I don't know. That's maybe the best I've got so far. Only replay peer. Only replay peer. I just don't know how to make that clear that that's referring to the next and previous. It's like, well, maybe like this will be part of the previous sort of collection of controls, and this will be part of like the next set of controls. Or seek. Like seek on replay peer. Let's start putting some of this in Godot and see if that makes it a little more clear. So where is this? This is inside of the frame viewer scene. Quake Or says, I'm very into networking things, and your streams videos have been very informative on the topic. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. It always feels good to get some positive feedback. Okay, so time. Settings button. Yeah, we may need to introduce some groupings. I hate how this constantly hides itself. Like we have up here. At least for... Yeah, you know, like sometimes maybe an icon is better than words, because we can put like a little icon and then have a tooltip that that says like what it means. But words are nice when you're just like building things from nowhere, because, hey, Nyanel, welcome to the stream. Hello. Oh, and I missed what Quakeor said. I'm building a server authoritative RTS like multiplayer game, so rollback is probably not the right approach for me, but in case I get into high-speed games, it's become relevant. Actually, so server authoritative, no. You would probably... I mean, you can do server authoritative with rollback. There isn't a reason. I mean, like, you're probably server authoritative for a particular reason that would be incompatible with rollback, but you can definitely do rollback with server authoritative. Anyway, the thing that came to my mind was that RTS games actually can be a good fit for rollback due to the just sheer number of units that you sometimes need to sync in a RTS. But yeah, it really depends on all of your requirements and resources and all of that. There's just too many pros and cons. Dzień dobry, albo wieczór. Yeah, what time is it in Poland right now? 5:30, right? Am I doing the time conversion right? 17:30? Okay. I'm the most distractible person on earth. Why do you guys even watch these streams? I can hardly stay on a single topic for like a second. Okay, so this is what's it called, this checkbox? So it'd be like seek on peer field. Yeah, I got the time conversion right, man. Okay, so seek on field, we'll give it a text of seek on replay peer, seek only on replay peer. All right, and then we'll put, how did we do it up here? Was it a, is this a panel container? What is this? What is this control right here? What are you? Panel container. Okay, so we'll do a panel container so we get the same look. And we'll probably want to put another separator of some kind in here. Inside our panel container, we want our replay to current and our auto. So this would be like replay container, and we need a button. So this would be like replay to current button. And then we need another checkbox, which we're going to call auto replay to current field. Man, I don't like any of these names. Naming is like the second hardest problem in development, for real. Okay, so replay to current button. Replay to current. Oops. And I need to put these in a H box. I forgot to do that. Because a panel container can only have one child, and I gave it 2, and it is getting confused. There we go. Replay to current. Replay to current frame. And auto replay. I guess I'll just put auto here and hope that it's obvious that we're saying auto this thing. Auto replay to current frame. And does this UI seem logical? What do you guys think? It's vaguely what I had in my picture. This is really crammed together, but it'll be bigger. Here, let's actually run it so that we can see it like a normal size. After it loads. Yeah, I don't like how this is like stuck way over here. And like this is over here when these two things are like really related to each other. I would rather that this was like right under that. But otherwise, I don't know. This is a good first pass, right? This is okay for us for the stream, for getting this in. Maybe I'll come up with something better later. Okay, so we need to code up this side. I guess let's start with this seek only on replay peer thing, because that can work even without the replay running. We'll just pick a peer and we'll seek only on replay peer. So we'll go over to frame viewer. We're going to need to grab that control. Why aren't there more controls being grabbed over on frame viewer? Like it has all these controls. Oh, a lot of them are buttons, so we don't need to grab references to them. They just have signals attached to them. Okay. I guess all the fields are up here, so we'll go var seek on peer. I guess I'll change the name of seek on replay peer. Seek on replay peer. Field. And we don't need to grab the current button, but we do need to grab the auto replay. Already var auto replay to current field. Oh, I typed reply. Okay. Auto replay. What was the thing I was typing all the time wrong last time? It was relay. I kept typing relay instead of replay because I've typed relay like 1,000 times while working on this project. The relay servers and the relay settings and all of that. So auto replay to current field. And so when we hit, for example, next frame, we need to change its behavior. Jump to next frame. Okay, in current frames. Wow, okay, I have to re-understand how this logic works. So we're getting a minimum time, which is the end time of all the data. We're looping over all of the peers. We are grabbing current frames. What is current frames? Current frames. Let's search around in here and try and remember what the current frames variable holds. Okay, so current frames is a dictionary of the current frame on every peer, and this is the frame data object. So we have a frame data object that is current for every peer. So we basically, rather than looping over all of the peers and getting whichever one is lowest, we need to just take the current frame for a particular peer and just increment it by 1. So this max time, how does this play into things? If max time is greater than log start time, then the log time field equals this start time. So value equals 0. My God, code you write like 2 months earlier, 3 months earlier, sometimes is so hard to understand. I'm just trying to see if this should be its whole own branch, or if we still want to essentially use this. So the max time, yeah, we can still find a max time. We're just going to find the max time in a different way. But does the name max time still make sense? Okay, so we're going to say if seek on peer, that's a terrible name, seek on replay peer. Preemptively try to not confuse myself in the future. Seek on replay peer, rather than just seek on peer, seek on replay peer field value. It is value, right? Let's check the docs real fast. Nope. Is it pressed? Yes, it is pressed. Okay. So if it's pressed, then we need to grab the replay peer ID. And this code happens elseword. Why exactly did I name this max time? Oh, because I'm thinking about next and this is previous. Okay. That makes sense. So we're going backwards. So it's looking for the highest possible time. For whatever reason, the whole time we were working on this, I thought this was the jump to next frame method. At least that's how I was treating it in my mind rather than jump to previous. So we're not incrementing the frame, we are decrementing the frame. We have to get the peer ID for the replay peer. How do we do that? I'm going to go look at the state viewer, because I know the state viewer does a bunch of looking at replay settings, and I want to see how it accomplishes that. So it gets the replay server set on it. Refresh replay. That's a pretty good method to have, refresh replay. So if we have a server, if we're connected, we grab the tick, we get the state frame, we send the state frame, but how do we tell it what peer it is? Does replay server know what peer it is? Let's go look at that. Replay server, do you know what peer you are using? Okay, so another way of finding this out, we learned earlier that the button, or the drop down for the peer to show works. So how does it work? Send match info for replay. Okay. So it's like it's starting the whole thing over again with a new peer ID. That's what it seems to be doing. And it sends it over just the one time. Okay, so we also, it's being sent to the replay server, or it's sent via the replay server to the replay client, but we need to hang on to that data ourselves as well. Maybe we could pass it in this refresh replay, or we could just make it accessible. We could just make it accessible on the log inspector, because like the frame viewer has access to the log inspector. I think it has a reference upward. Frame viewer. Let's see what references we have. We have log data. I actually think we don't. We don't have a reference upward. That's probably a design decision at some point, that the log inspector is always going to be passing data down, that we're not going to be grabbing, data from above. Which means we need a way for the log inspector to tell us. And so again, maybe that is an argument for refresh replay. We just have to make sure that that gets called, all of the time. So let's just start editing it here. So we'll say replay peer int. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a local variable called replay peer, which I need to declare. And we will put that up here. I might reverse this. Have the underscore version be the one that we have so that it's like private. And yeah, it's fine being 0, I think, because no peer can be 0. We start the peer IDs at 1. Just waking up my little Chromebook here. Sorry. Oh, I missed your Dobra Robota, Nyanel. I gotta get a better arrangement for me to watch the comments. This is kind of a disaster here. I know I've said this many streams ago. I have a third screen, but I just cannot get my computer to recognize it. And that would be perfect if I could have 3 screens all on the same machine rather than having this Chromebook rocking out over here. Okay, so this will give us the replay peer. We just need to make sure that it is definitely always passed to us. There might be cases where it isn't. And we need to adjust the state input viewers. Refresh replay. Do also take the replay peer, but it doesn't need it for anything, so that's cool. And we need to adjust the log inspector to actually pass it. So we need, what is it called? Peer something. Show peer field. Looks like we actually don't have a reference to it. Let me grab a reference to it. Oh no, we do. Show peer field. Autocomplete. Why have you forsaken me? Play peer. Or I've been calling it replay peer, so we'll just call it that. Show peer field. And then is it value? What are you? Give me the docs. Give me the docs. Has anyone ever been to GDC or other game dev events? I've not been to GDC. There is a Wisconsin, because I live in the state of Wisconsin in the United States of America. There's a Wisconsin game dev, like yearly game dev event that I don't think has happened the last year or two due to coronavirus. But I did go to it once, and it was really good. It was down in Madison, where most of the game studios are in the state of Wisconsin. They have the studio that does Call of Duty there. They've been in the news lately because they've been trying to start a union. I don't know if you guys follow that kind of industry news. And one of the studios that's involved in PUBG is down there, and then a whole bunch of littler ones. But it was good. And also in Milwaukee, there are a number of game affiliated events which aren't like strictly for the games industry. There was this one I went to, the Fall Experiment, which is like this weird combination of like startups and playing games and making games. It was just a weird mix, but it was super fun. And I met a lot of the people that I know in the Wisconsin games industry from going to that event. That's all I've been to. There's a slight chance I perhaps might go to GDC if I get the scholarship, so I wonder what I might expect there. Other than San Francisco is insanely expensive. Yeah, so my sister lived in San Francisco for a whole bunch of years, and I would go to, because for work, I go to a lot of conferences, or I used to. I haven't been to any in 2 years, but I used to go to a lot of conferences, and there were one or two in San Francisco that I would go to every year. And my sister living in San Francisco was amazing because I would just go stay at her house. Of course, like, she lived in the tiniest little apartments because, again, San Francisco, like, you pay $1 bajillion for like this itsy-bitsy little space. But it was really great to be able to do that, to have that advantage, because it is very expensive in San Francisco. Okay. How do I get the value of the currently selected item? So this is the selected int, but that's not what I want. I want the item value, unless that is what I want. No, because the value can be anything. It doesn't have to be an integer. Get item count, get item ID, get item index, get item metadata. Okay, is that the ID? Is item ID? I thought you could put anything, though, in an item value. Hang on. Let's go look in here. So peer 1. So its index is 0. Its text is 1. Okay, I guess you can't put anything in. I guess that's the ID. And it's wrong. That should be 1 and not 0. Let's look where the other place that we're dealing with these peer IDs. How do we deal with them? That, I guess, would be in the log inspector script, I think. I just want to make sure that I'm consistently getting the IDs the way that I'm putting them in there. So it gives an index, and then selected. So we're just getting an index? Show peer. Okay, how is the state input refreshing? No, I'm not looking in the right place here. So show peer. Where do we get the value? So we're adding the item with the peer ID is the ID. Okay, but when we get it, how are we getting it? My peer ID equals get selected ID. There we go. That's the method I want. That's what I need. Let's go back down here. Replay peer. And we'll pass that into here. Replay peer. Replay peer. I feel weird not saying peer ID. Maybe I'll go back and change these to peer ID so it's explicit from the variable name that they are IDs. We have so many different like objects representing peers in all over the place that I think it'll be easier to understand if we have those. replay peer. Say replay peer ID, replay peer ID, ID, ID. No, rent is insane over there. Yeah, it's totally insane. You get nothing. You get like a teeny tiny itsy bitsy room and you pay like, I don't know, twice, 3 times what you would pay for like a decent apartment in Milwaukee. Furroy, I've been to SIGGRAPH, cool, but not to a game-specific one yet. If I was smarter, I'd go to SIGGRAPH too. Hey, The Clean! Welcome to the stream. Good to see you again. Visual shader is a lifesaver. Okay. Back on track, more or less, I hope. So, this is where we left off. So if seek on replay peer field is pressed, we now have the peer ID as a local variable. And so we want to do more or less this same code, but a little bit differently. We're going to get this from replay peer ID. And we're going to set max time to frame start time, which makes me think we should probably have some kind of method that does this if we're doing it. Replay peer ID. I just declared it. Oh, underscore. And replay peer ID. Frames greater than 0 and minus equals 1. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to duplicate the code for now. I can't think of exactly how I would refactor this, how that method would look. It would be like get previous frame for peer. Actually, yeah, maybe that's exactly how it would look. Func get previous frame for peer. And we'd take a peer ID, and we're going to return log data, frame data, I think. Or do we want to just have it be so specific that it actually returns the time? Get previous frame time for peer. And then we would do essentially this. And then we can replace this code with this get previous frame time for peer ID, and same up here. Get previous frame time for peer, but this time on the replay peer ID. And let's not call this max time. Max time is terrible. Let's call it, I don't know, frame time. Because what we're trying to determine is what is the time of the previous frame so that we can change the current time of the frame viewer, because everything derives from time on the frame viewer. Okay, that code looks good, I think, I hope. Let's do the same thing for the next frame. So we're going to do another method like this. Except this will be get next frame time for peer. And how does that code look? This is the code. Okay. We just want to return this. We just want to return this one. Frame time, start time. And if we don't find a frame, we're going to return 0. Because I think that's essentially what's happening down here. The min time needs to be greater than the log data start time, and if not, then go to the end, or go to the beginning. Yeah. Okay. So here, I'm going to change this to just be, or though like min's going to get us down to 0. Here, let's be a little bit smarter. We'll do var, we'll say peer frame time equals get next frame for peer. And we're going to be smarter in the sense that we're going to ignore values of 0. So if peer frame time does not equal 0, then we're going to do frame time, because I'm going to change this one to be called frame time as well. And then here we'll call our method. Get next frame time for peer ID. Rename all of these min times to frame time. And we need to add the condition here for if we have this checkbox checked, the seek on replay peer field. And we're going to do this for next frame. Okay. This should work. Let's test it. First, we'll test that the way it used to work still works. Oh, 9L stuck at the top. Get you out of there, 9L. Ooh. Oh, there's a refresh replay. And we need to pass a value, which we don't know because we didn't keep track of it. We'll just hang on to this replay peer, even though I don't know that we'll ever need it. So we'll say replay peer ID int and refresh replay. Play peer, or the other way around. Ah! Hitting all the wrong buttons. How do you say Chekhovostka? Trivia? A piece of trivia? Something like that. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Curiosity, fun fact. I mean, curiosity would be like the most direct translation, right, of Chekhovostka. Have I managed to get out of there? Yes, you are out of there, I think. Where are you? There you are. What Chekhovostka do you have for us, Lionel? Replay peer ID. Oh, underscore. And let's try it. Were the buttons always this tall? I think that's new because I put this this in the I should probably go set some of the size flags to not expand those vertically. Okay. We'll do that after we see if this worked or not. Okay, so if I do next frame, it should do it for both which it's doing it. And then if I enable seek only on replay peer, it should only skip to frames on peer 1. Oop, and we got a debugging thing gone awry. Okay, so invalid get index 0, because we have the wrong peer ID. We have peer ID of 0. Okay, so something needs to happen at the very beginning where we refresh replay. So the downside of reusing this refresh replay method is that if we're not actually doing a replay, it's never going to get called. So I think we need to change this. I think this was a bad move on my part. I think we need to explicitly have some sort of setter. Because why would we call refresh replay if there is no replay to refresh, right? We just need to pass along what the replay peer is. Okay, let's undo this crappy API I did. we'll do it better. Jump over to the state input viewer. Sometimes you don't know that something's a bad API idea until you try to do it, and then you find the problems with it. And yeah, so we won't store it because we don't need it. Say func set replay peer ID, and it will pass in replay peer ID, but on state input viewer, we're just gonna do nothing with it because we don't care. And over here, get rid of that, get rid of that. All right, that should be cleaned up. Let's go back to frame viewer. Let's clean that up. Refresh replay. Let's change this to pass. But then up when we're doing set, whoa, we're doing set log data. Wait, don't we have to have a set replay server here too? Because this one had it. Set replay server. Do we not have that? I'm just going to copy and paste this in anticipation that perhaps we don't have it. Hey, Curiosity CND! It's been a while, man. It's been a real long time since we've chatted, either on stream or like in life. How have things been going? I hope things have been going good, man. I missed some stuff. I know. What Chekhovska do I have? Let me see. Oh, Guangzhou's metro, Guangzhou alone, has about, actually try to guess first. How many millions? I don't know. I don't know. How many millions are at Guangzhou's metro? How many millions of passengers per year? I have no guess. I guess I will guess. I'll guess something. I'll just make up a number. 5 million. That's my guess. Okay. What was I doing? I was checking if we have a set replay server on here somewhere. We do not. So we're going to need that. All right, at the top, when we have set log data, refresh log data, we also need set replay server and set replay peer ID. Replay peer ID int void. And I guess if we're doing replay server not as a private variable, we'll do this one as replay peer ID. And of course we have to declare all these variables. Var replay server, var replay peer ID. Okay, so my guess, 50 million per year. Any more guesses? Apparently Zand guessed 50 million. I don't know. I have like no basis for this guess. I'm just randomly picking a number. Okay, let me look at how we did the state input viewer. We actually did declare replay server. So let's grab that. Frame viewer. Replay server. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. We now, for real, have a replay peer ID. I, of course, changed the name of the variable because I'm constantly renaming things as I go, trying to find the perfect name, if there is such a thing. To replay peer ID without the underscore. Okay. And we have to make sure this method gets called. Go back to log inspector. And in here, we are going to call this first thing. Or no. No. We are going to grab it, and we are going to call it before doing refresh replay on either of these. So set replay peer ID, replay peer ID, and same deal down here for the frame viewer. And now, theoretically, this should work. Wait, 3 to 4 billion passengers per year? Why? You messed with this, 9L. you asked how many millions. So then my answer would have had to have been 3,000 millions? 4,000 millions? That's a trick question. Yeah, Curiosity CND, otherwise known as David, although it's weird because that's also my name. You have missed a lot. Like, we're working on like deep debugging tools for rollback netcode now. Okay, so let's see. Does this work? Forward through both peers? I can't actually tell. Let's go back to somewhere earlier. There we go. I can tell that that was through both peers. And then let's set seek only on replay peer. And we get a crash. Okay. Again, it's 0. It should never be 0. I don't think it should ever be 0. Let's go back to log inspector. The number is insane. So 20 million a day on this particular metro. What an interesting Chekhovostka. We should have had this mini Polish time that we seem to be having on the last stream, because Gosha was there and a whole bunch of other people who professed some level of Polishitude. I think it might just be you and me, 9L, this time, who are Polish speakers. Unless anyone else is a Polish speaker, please speak up. Okay, so when does the replay server get set? Set replay server. Set replay server gets called here at the very, very beginning. Oh, and we need to set this on the frame viewer too. Set replay server, And when we're first ready, we don't know really what the peer ID is. As soon as we have that data, we can call this one, and let's just set it on both of these, no matter what's selected. We'll do state input viewer set replay peer ID replay peer ID. And as soon as we have some data loaded, we need to also just make sure that that method gets called, and we will be good. And we're not doing anything with this index. So hang on. So let's make a new method. We'll make a method here, refresh, replay, and refresh, replay. So I don't have to call that function with a dummy argument. And then as soon as we get some new log data, log error, that's not what we want. Log data finished. Is that when we know we have all of the log data? Refresh from log data. Oh, here we go. We're also sending match info for replay. So maybe this is when we need to call refresh replay. And down here is just like all these callbacks. So I'm going to kind of bring this up to here where we have normal methods and not just callbacks. Because I kind of like to keep my callbacks all together, generally at the end of the file. Personal thing that helps me find things later. Gramówka? It's the first thing that came to my mind. Thank you, The Clean. Wow, The Clean, I don't know if I saw your character before. You have a pretty sweet character. You got like a orc guy with a beard and a helmet with some like curved horns. That's pretty awesome. That's a good one. All right. Now this should work. I keep saying that. How many times have we tried this? Well, this should work. Okay, so again, we will verify that this is doing somewhere around frame, or actually even here I can tell that it's doing both at once. So we just move that tiny bit. So then let's back up. Let's seek only on replay peer. Hey, we are seeking only on replay peer. Brilliant. And I disable it, and it should go back to normal. Yeah, I could tell in here that it's hooking on 2 different frames on the 2 different peers. All right. Are these characters randomly generated? Is this something else that you wrote? Yeah, so we built this on stream quite a while ago now. It might have been in the fall. But the characters are from an asset pack from Kenny NL, and it does just randomly pick them. And what was I going to say? Oh, that this overlay is a Godot game. It's built in Godot. It has access to the Restream API. My headcanon is these are huge ears. Huge ears coming out from behind the helmet. Okay, so we got a thing. We got a thing that's working. So let's commit it. Let me just take a look at the diff here. So we now have some new UI, and we have the ability to only move forward for a single peer. That all looks good. The code seems good to me. Let's commit this. So added UI for frame-based replay and implemented seeking only on the replay peer. All right, so now we're getting down to some of the tricky stuff. We have 40 minutes left. What can we do? Hopefully a lot. So replay to current frame. This is going to be the big magic. And everything else will sort of derive from that. Once we have that implemented, turning on auto will just mean that every time we change the time, it's going to replay to the current frame, but replaying to the current frame is the thing. So how are we going to do that? Let's, I guess, bind to the button first. Replay to current frame. Pressed. Start with the basics. We want to press the button. Oh, and I guess I will put this... I'm going to move the unhandled input higher. So again, like I was saying before, I have all the callbacks at the end. Are you guys this neurotic about rearranging your code, or is this just me? Like, I'm a little bit neurotic about making sure that everything is like, I don't know, in a logical order that when I come back later, it'll make a little bit more sense to me. So it's not on while I'm working. Just always having characters running. That actually would be kind of cool. Like some sort of visualization of the what's going on in Discord, like at all times. That would be kind of cool. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? We need to send some data to the replay server, telling it to execute all of these frames. And to do that, let's go look at the replay server and kind of see how that works. Every time we are moving to a frame that is not the frame immediately after the frame we already went to, we have to wipe out everything and replay from the beginning. Because otherwise we're not running the frames as they were executed during the real match. So we're going to have to track some stuff here. So replay server, send message. We're just directly sending messages. Okay, I might have to go look at some other code. This code is so bare bones. I guess all of the real work is being done within log inspector does its send match info. I wonder if that should be moved though, because I feel like we need to send it match info, send match info for replay. We get the peer ID, we loop over these, so we have it for it. We build up this message and then send it to the replay server. Yeah, we really do need to be able to do this from the frame viewer, so the log inspector, because the frame viewer can't call back up to the log inspector. We're going to need to move this, I think, into the replay server itself, which is fine. So what do we need to pass in? We need to pass in the log data, which peer ID is me, and log data match info, that should be easily grabbed. All right, let's just copy and paste a bunch of this, and we'll delete what we don't need over in the replay server. Replay server. So I'll put this after send message because this is going to be a type of message that we are sending. And we'll call it send match info. And like I was saying before, we are passing in the log data and the peer ID. And that, or we'll say my peer ID. Do we have access to log data here? We do not. I guess we will And we don't need it. I mean, all it does is give us autocomplete. But yeah, I don't know. Let's add it anyway. State input viewer. We will preload log data. Up at the top. Hopefully that won't create some sort of circular dependency. So myPRID, we get rid of that. This can be shortened because we are the replay server. So if not is connected to game, we return. If not log data or log data, if your size equals 0, then we loop over these. Append, oh, I can declare this as an integer. And we are the replay server. So there we go. Now let's go back to log inspector. And we can do something much simpler here. So send match info. I am missing a whole lot of comments. Hey, Yush, welcome to the stream. I'm just going to check out the comments for a second here. I have appreciated how neurotic you are with your code when I tried to help out. That really helped me learn. Okay, cool. I mean, I can't not do it. I am incapable of not being neurotic. So the fact that it has some positive side effects, I'm very happy about. I'm writing in a C manner. A method using another method is somewhere lower. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. Although, like, my brain always wants to do the reverse. That I like to put the methods that are using the methods above and then the other way around. But yeah, like C has to be that way unless you're going to forward declare all your methods, which would be annoying. And it helps with autocomplete. Another Chekhovostka. Vitamins. First steam engine car, prototype oil lamp, radiation, bulletproof vest, colored photos, helicopter, walkie-talkie, and paper clips are all Polish inventions. I was aware of radiation. I didn't know any of the rest of those were affiliated with Poland at all. But radiation, I mean, Mary Curie Skłodowska, of course. There are many other Polish inventions, of course. Hey, Yush, thank you for the compliment. Thanks for thanking me. I guess you're welcome. I would be the appropriate response. I am happy to make it, although a little bit exhausted from how much work it's been lately. But I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Okay. So we are just going to add if replay server. Then we will call replay server. Oops. Replay server send match info. Log data. And replay PRID. So we actually need this. This code is already looking better than what we started with, just like structurally, this is better. And let's just make sure we're not calling this send match info replay thing too many times. Or any times. We need to change all of those to refresh replay. And then we can delete this one. That is looking much nicer. Looking much nicer. Okay. As we continue here in the frame viewer, when we click the replay to current, which we're going to need a separate method for because we're going to want to support the auto feature. This will be like replay. We'll just replay to current frame. And this will call that replay to current frame. And we need to know what frame we were replayed to previously. So we need to keep track of that. So the frames are numbered. I'm like 99% sure the frames are numbered. Let's look in log data to see how we access that. I don't have it loaded. Let's find the file. Log data. So state data, input data, frame data. Frame int. Okay. So when we adjust the time, we need to set like what frame number that is on the replay peer. But we only care insofar as we've actually replayed to it. So maybe not when we change the time. Maybe we need to set that. We need to set it when we run this, when we run the play to current frame. So there's no frame 0. Is there? Or do we start with frame 1? What do these numbers start at? Frame counter. Okay, so the frame counter, where do we initialize the frame counter? Okay, we do start at 0. 0 is the first one. So we'll start the replay frame at -1, so we can pick an invalid value. And we'll need to like invalidate it when we get out of sync. Because if we like, no, we don't need to invalidate it if we get out of sync. Whatever is loaded in the replay is the current frame. Lots of comments. What's going on? Curious Skłodowska is the first woman who got Nobel Prize. The only one who got it twice. I actually was not aware of that. Polish worked on cracking the Enigma code too. Yeah, so I was aware of that one too. Heliocentrism. This is because of what's his face? Galileo, right? Because of Galileo. Or no, Copernic, not Galileo. Nikolai Copernic. I don't know. Like some of these really old associations seem dubious to me, but maybe. I know that it's I know that is a popular thing that people say. But when it's like so long ago that I don't know, it feels like I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Okay, so the frame counter starts at 0. Let's go back to the. Because don't check. People also claim Copernic. Like, aren't there like multiple nationalities that claim him? Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get into it, and I started getting into it. Okay, replay frame started on -1, and I guess we do need to invalidate it if we ever replace the data. Is there like a clear refresh from log data? I think. Okay, I'm just not gonna try and clear it now because I don't know when the appropriate time to do it is. Replay to current frame. We need to figure out what frame we are going to replay to. So we need to figure out current frame, and we do that by looking at the current frame for the peer ID, for the replay peer ID, and that will get us they'll get us the actual frame data, which is what we need. So this is log data, frame data. And we need to, or no, because we need to, okay. If replay frame equals current frame, or is it ID? I was like just in there. I think it might be frame. Equals frame -1, then we can execute. Just this frame. So to do tell replay client to execute just this frame, and otherwise we need to replay all frames up through this frame. And that's going to be fun. There are definitely notions that claim Einstein to be, theirs, but Nicholas Copernicus was definitely 100% Polish. Okay, maybe it's not Copernicus, but I swear there's like someone who's concerned with the heavens who is claimed both by like Poland and Czech and like a whole bunch of other places. And it's from so long ago that like nationality is sort of fuzzy to begin with. You know what I mean? Because like the modern sense of nationality kind of like didn't exist before, you know, I don't know. So I might not be, Copernicus might not be the one in my brain, but there are some folks who like I look at nations claiming them, and I'm just it seems tenuous to me. Not just Polish ones, but you know, different historical figures. Okay, so what we need is some method to just replay a current frame. It'll be like send replay frame data. Send replay frame data, and I guess we will pass in the actual frame data. So frame data, log data, frame data. And this will send the message to the replay server. How are we doing on time? I feel like I'm doing this like so slow today. Again, like I was saying earlier, I'm just like really tired from staying up all night working on a VR prototype. Which I'm glad I did. I've been like just hankering to work on actual game and not just like libraries or tutorials or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely dulled my senses here. So in this one, we can just say send replay frame data, the actual current frame, and here we need to loop over frames up until this point. So how do we start at the beginning? I guess we'll loop on all of them and stop once we get to past the current frame. That's how we'll do it. We'll say for frame data in log data frames. I gotta look at how this data is stored again. I've already forgotten. We have a dictionary. So this will be giving us the frame ID, I believe. Which is a little weird that I use dictionaries for those. Probably could have done it with arrays. But I don't know. It's what I did. So this would actually be for frame ID in frames, and then the actual frame data is log data frames frame ID. And we will say if frame ID is, or actually here, we'll do that. We'll quit early. We'll say if frame ID is greater than current frame, then we will break. Otherwise, we grab the frame data and send it to the replay. Oh, and if we're going to do all the frames, we also need to do, we need to tell the replay server to send the match info. So this essentially restarts the replay client by sending the match info again, which to do that, we need to send the log data and the replay peer ID. And this needs to be past the frame data. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. And then once we've done this, we need to set the replay frame to plus equals 1. And at the end of this, we need to send replay frame equals whatever. Or no, we can do these both the same way. Replay frame now equals current frame. So now we've replayed through this frame. So we could keep iterating forward this way, or if we moved somewhere completely different, we would have to restart the replay client and send each frame up to the one that we want to do. Are you still working on smuggling things through space? No, man, that was such a cool game idea, and I want to go back to it at some point. So David's referring to the Space Smuggler VR prototype that I was working on for a little bit, which the idea was that the different parts of the ship would be simulated. And so even though I was calling it like Space Smuggler VR, it's essentially Space Mechanic VR, where the idea is you have a sort of half broken down ship, and you're like a Han Solo type, and you're smuggling cargo from one place to another place, and your ship's always kind of not working, and all of the problems you encounter basically involve like messing with the systems that make your ship go to try and not spoil your cargo before you get there. And it was feeling pretty cool. I had the simulation working in kind of like a 2D prototype with the different components, and then I had I started having this white boxed VR prototype of the ship, which I had started wiring up to the simulation. So you had this debug gun that you would point at like an object, and it would give you readouts from the simulation. And I don't know, I got distracted. Yeah, it was cool. We were gonna have like different scanner tools. So you would like go and find something and replace parts, and you'd have like a 3D printer, and you'd make parts. And I had all these ideas. But no, the prototype that I've been working on is much less ambitious, I think, at least. It's like a voxel world building thing. So the idea is that you're going to be placing these blocks to build a world that exists on one grid, and then the actual blocks themselves exist on a smaller grid. And you build the blocks that you use to then build the world. So kind of like a fractal sort of thing. You like construct the blocks, and then you make a little library of blocks and use it to build the world. And I don't really have that much game planned for it, so it might be actually like closer to like a voxel editor, like a Goxel or a Magica voxel, at least as far as I've conceptualized it, because I just want to make little worlds is kind of what I want to play around with and see what it feels like to be in these little worlds. And maybe the building will become a game, or maybe the worlds that I create with it will become the game, or I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I've been playing, my younger daughter, who's 5, has become really, really obsessed with Minecraft to like a crazy level. She knows more about Minecraft, and she's 5. She knows more about Minecraft than I do, which like I know is probably normal for like most parents. But like I've also played like a crazy amount of Minecraft, right? I've been playing it since before she was born. But like she's been so into it lately, and so I've been playing like so much Minecraft with her, and I don't know, like the building thing and being able to exist in the world that you build is also interesting. I don't know, like, so I just want to explore the feeling of world creation, and that's what my prototype is about, exploring the feeling of world creation. Yeah, it could be artistic. Like that's one way that it could go. Maybe it's just an art tool. I don't know. I'm definitely going to put multiplayer in it though, just because that's what I do. I put multiplayer in things, so there will be some kind of multiplayer world building thing going on. And at the very least, maybe there's a mode where instead of building, you just kind of hang out in the space. Give the different objects like different interaction behaviors, and so then you could just have some people over to your weird little space. I don't know, but I'm just gonna explore that for like a month and then see where that goes, and maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't go somewhere, and then I'll do a new prototype. Okay, so 15 minutes! Can we make this thing do a thing? I think we can. I think we can make it do a thing. So here, this is probably missing some checks that we need. So first of all, let me just do that really quick. So if replay server and replay server is connected to game, is connected to game, or no, I need to do this in the opposite. If not replay server and not is connected to game, return. And if log data, can log data ever be empty? I don't think so. So we'll just say if log data peer ID's size equals 0, then return. Okay. And the real meat of this thing, the real center, I hate saying meat of a thing because I'm a vegetarian. The core of the thing is that we need to send this data to the replay client and have it actually replay it. So replay server, send message. What do these messages need to look like? What data does it need to be able to replay a frame? We need, hang on. We actually need to send state frame 0, because state frame 0 is what the state is at the beginning. No, do we though? Because like we're gonna do the beginning of the game. Okay, so we're not gonna send state frame 0. Okay, visualize this, visualize this. We've just started a match. What data do we need? Let's go look in Sync Manager and sort of think through this. So if we are actually, for real, running a Sync Manager physics process, because that's kind of like the core of Sync Manager. We're actually running it. What does it need? Yeah, we got to make sure the logger is disabled. We don't want to log. We don't want to log data that we're replaying from a log. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so are we recording frame data for these like pre-ticks? Do we need to play these pre-ticks? So what I mean by pre-ticks is when we're doing an input delay, we run like a couple of ticks in the beginning where we just gather input but don't execute anything, because we want to have this offset between we're gathering input for this tick but we're actually executing this tick, and we do that by running like a -1 tick and a 0 tick, which don't get fully executed, but they exist. So what do you need? What do we need? Or wait, do we want to run physics process? I think we do, because we want rollbacks to happen. If a rollback happened while playing the match, we want a rollback to happen here, because that could, you know, be something interesting to debug through. So to run physics process, we need to give some input, but where do we give the input? Okay. If not started, do some stuff for the debugger, the logger. We save the current state. Let me look at the data in the log and just see like what data do we have, and maybe that'll help me think through what data we need to send. I'll make this bigger so users can see it. Okay, so this is the log data. I should probably have opened this up in VS Code so there would be like highlighting or something. It's really hard to read. But so this is like a little header. This is, what type of tick is this? Frame type 0. So it is executing ticks -1, tick 0. And does this have, oh geez. Okay, let me go look in I want to look in the logger and just see what those IDs mean. So, frame type, interframe, tick, and interpolation frame. I've often thought that the 2D visualization tool that you're making for the systems in the Smuggler prototype could have been a really enjoyable game on it all its own. Yeah, maybe. Just the simulation prototype. It was interesting. It was definitely fun to work on that bit of it. I would like to get back to that prototype at some point, but I don't know. Too many things I want to do. There's just too many awesome things to do in the world and not nearly enough time to do them. Okay, so anyway, the frame types 0, 1, 2. We have a tick frame, an interframe, interpolation frame. What exactly does a tick frame mean in this context? Or wait, hang on. Log type and then frame type. Okay, so log type, we have a frame and then input. At what point do we inject the different inputs? This is going to be interesting. We're going to have to try and like, okay, so in a game with rollback, at a certain point you'll be predicting, and then you'll receive the real input, and then you'll do a rollback, and we're going to have to inject the input into the game on the same frame that that input was actually received by that peer, so that like we're getting the predictions when we're getting the predictions, we're getting the real input when we're getting the real input, the same rollbacks are happening in order to really debug issues. So we're looping over everything that says, we're looping everything that has a log type of 1. And then we have these different frame types, which we're going to do all of them. Except interframe. Like interframe is sort of meaningless. That's kind of like things that happen between frames that we don't have a thing to attach it to. So log type 0, that's the header. This one, where's the log type? Log type 1. Okay, so this is a frame, and its frame type is tick. And what were the other frame types? Interpolation frame and interframe. So we're mostly going to be looking at tick and interpolation frame. So frame 1 happens, which is technically tick -1. And we have some advantage information. Oh, this is interesting too. What are we going to do about the advantage calculations? Are we going to simulate actually doing the advantage calculations? Or are we just going to force it to use the result that is recorded in the log? Okay, input tick sent to peer. We don't need to do anything with that. Where's one where we actually start receiving some ticks? So that would be, let's just look for a log type on all of these. So a log type of 1. Where's the next log type of 1? Log type 3. Wait, there was a log type of 1 right here. Messages sent to peer, input tick sent to peer. Where does it tell us we received input? Oh, and we need to be sending our local input. Man, there's going to be some interesting refactoring that needs to take place in order to like really run this. Like I'm starting to feel like the physics process for the sync manager, which is like the core of the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, is going to need to be broken up into some pieces. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we just do not want to happen when we are running through this manually. Like these debug things we don't want to happen because we don't want to have a random number of rollback ticks. We want the exact same number of rollback ticks that happened last time to happen. And then when we're gathering local input, we want to run with the input that we're giving it and not what it's gathering currently. This is interesting. This, I have a feeling that digging into this is like at least a full other 2 hours of work. I don't think we're going to be able to get this to do anything terribly interesting in our remaining 4 minutes. Yeah, this is now we're getting down to it. Now we're getting down to it. So far, 84 hours of streaming. Not bad. Got to make something special for Stream 50. That's an interesting thought. 84 hours of streaming. I can't believe it. The first couple times I streamed, it was horrible. I was so stressed out and like I did not enjoy it. but I really dig this. You guys are great. Having, you know, the opportunity to hang out and get your guys' thoughts and help and just like, I don't know, chilling and doing game dev stuff is super fun. Thanks everyone for who comes to these things regularly, because it's great for me. 9L, yeah, never streamed before, but I can imagine the stress. Yeah, I don't know at what point I suddenly got used to it. I mean, I'm still anxious, like a little bit nervous through the whole time, and it messes up my thinking skills a little bit and my typing skills, but like it now doesn't mess me up so much that it isn't fun. At some point, it got to the point where I was able to do it and have fun. Maybe somewhere around stream number 8 or something, I don't know. Yeah, so I think we're going to have to save this for either off stream or the next stream. We'll see if I do manage to get anything done on this between now and then. But this is the really interesting part. This is how can we take data from a frame, from the logs, data about a frame from the logs, and inject it into the sync manager and have it run as if that data was current. And that's either going to be loading this method up with if statements, or it's going to be breaking it up into like some little pieces where I can pass the data in bit by bit, or it's going to be some kind of refactoring where we have an object that like it's pulling the data from, and then we replace that object. Although I don't think that makes sense here. So much of what's going on in Sync Manager is like manipulating, like look at all these local variables, like all these local variables. And so I think it's going to be something closer to the first two options, that will either have a lot of if statements, like saying, well, don't actually do this if we're mechanizing this, or breaking things up into pieces. So we have like physics process will do what it's doing for current data, like real time actually running the game data, and it will be calling these little methods that we broke it up into, and then we'll have some other method, which will be like, I don't know, mechanize tick or something, that will call those same methods but inject the data that we're giving them. The tricky part there will be just making sure that the behavior between the two versions is the same, you know? It's nice to see the process in action. I hope I can catch some streams more regularly. I'm trying to do work from home thing on Fridays. Should help. Yeah, cool. That's awesome that you're able to work from home, are you working a new job? Because it seemed like that wasn't a thing you would be able to do with what you were doing before. But anyway, that's great. That is super great. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna commit what we worked on here, and we can end this stream. Make sure this stuff makes sense. It's basically we are laying the boilerplate. Let me just do git status. Laying or adding boilerplate for actually executing frames in replay client. Not actually. Adding boilerplate for executing frames in replay client. Blah, blah, blah. Pushed. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming. If you're not already on the Discord, join the Discord so we can hang out, chat, do other stuff. I'm going to keep working on this. And yeah, I don't know what I want to do for the next stream. If this is still going, if I haven't like finished it up off stream, like maybe we'll do this again, or maybe my new VR prototype will be far enough along that we can try and work on a VR game on stream. If anyone has a preference, any opinions about what we do on next stream, please let me know on Discord or in the comments or wherever. Yeah, thanks for coming. I hope everyone has a good weekend and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.